Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MTG Brewery. My name is Noah. I was the founder of the channel, and I'm joined today with Will.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I gave them a second to respond, and we're also joined by an Ian.
Howdy, y'all. How's it going?
And I gave them a second to respond too. Awesome. So, Wizards has been up to some crazy stuff. They dropped this set apropos of nothing. It's totally a real set. It's absolutely not in any way fabricated or faked.
Yeah, Wizards was like unprovoked to do this. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Didn't
Truly an unprecedented moment in MTG history. I think also
spoke to the secret layer, truly.
Yeah, and also unprecedented, they went with the set symbol of Mtg.Design, the website where you get to design Magic cards. I assume that was just an avant-garde choice on their end.
it's a power move, I think.
It's
I think
big
they're taking it
Hasbro
back.
going after the little guy.
You know what? That's what it is. But instead of focusing on the harrowing realities of commerce in our trading card games, we're going to choose to focus instead on the cards themselves. So we have a brand new set. This is a standard legal set. It's called the Furnace. It's a faction set. So we have 5 allied color factions, and it's based around a giant prison city called the Furnace. Basically, one of the factions, the Raelia, is a group of angels, and they sectioned the city off hundreds of years ago. The idea is there's a bunch of different factions in the city, and then there's the angels outside of the city, and the whole set is just sort of telling the story about this prison city and the various factions within it. And yeah, that's basically the set. It's the Furnace. We're going to be reviewing this from... Most of us are Commander players, but I play a lot of Standard, and some of us dabble in Modern as well. So that's going to be the lens through which we review these cards. Guys, anything to add before we jump in?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm ready to dive in.
All right, guys. This is the card. This is the card we're going to use to discuss the set's new mechanic called Reveal. As you see here, this card is called Double Agent. It's a Dimir hybrid mana Ogre Rogue, a single mana, for a 1/1. And this creature has Reveal, the new set mechanic. And the Reveal cost is a blue mana and a black mana. So, Reveal reads thus. When cast, this creature comes into play under target opponent's control. While under an opponent's control, its owner may pay its Reveal cost at any time to exile it, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. This is kind of complicated. Well, it's a little bit of a wordy mechanic. I think we can say that right now. But this is essentially how it works. If I'm playing against Will in a game of Magic the Gathering, and I cast a Double Agent here, Double Agent will come under Will's control. So I'm basically giving Will a 1/1. Now, at any point in time, I may pay its Reveal cost, blue and a black. Note that only its owner can pay it, so Will cannot pay the Reveal cost. I can pay the Reveal cost as the owner of Double Agent, and when I do, Double Agent is going to exile itself, then come back into play under my control. So basically, I'm giving Will a creature for a little bit of time until I pay the Reveal cost, and that creature comes back under my control. Now, I think this mechanic is interesting in several different ways. One, it makes these cards kind of hard to evaluate, or it adds a wrench to evaluating them, because you have to think, okay, if I play Double Agent on turn 1, I'm basically giving my opponent a free attack against me with a 1/1. Obviously, just a 1/1 attack is not that bad, but we're going to see some other cards that being hit by them is not great. So it's interesting because you kind of want to think about, when do I play this card? You know, if I'm playing Double Agent, if I play it on turn 1 and I don't reveal it on my second turn, they get a whole nother turn with my creature. So the longer I go without revealing this creature, I'm kind of losing life the entire time, right? I could play creatures to the board, but then if I block my own creature with Reveal and kill it, that's pretty bad. So it's an interesting mechanic. I will say, I find it very fascinating because you can pay the Reveal cost, you know, during combat, right? Let's say your opponent tries to attack you with a creature you own with Reveal and another creature. Well, because the Reveal creature exiles itself and then comes back, you can pay the Reveal cost mid-combat, and it'll come back untapped under your control, so you can then block with it. So there's some interesting things you can do. I'm going to open this up to now Will and Ian to evaluate this card, Double Agent. I should probably finish reading the card. Let me do that.
Oh, I have a quick question. If Wizards has specified, is Reveal, does it have to be a different turn, or can it be the same turn?
It can be the same turn you play it, because it says at any time. So if you have 3 mana and you play Double Agent, you can play it and then instantly reveal it, right? And you basically will have gotten yourself the creature back. Let's finish reading the card, though. So Double Agent. When it enters the battlefield from exile, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it and destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. So this is pretty interesting, right? Most destroy creature or planeswalker effects do cost 3 mana, so this is sort of at rate, and you get yourself a 3/3. But of course, you do also get hit with it as well. I kind of think this card is good, not in Commander. I think it's good in one-on-one. I think the problem, and we can talk about this now, with all reveal cards in Commander, is you're giving your opponent a creature, and you have, there's like 4 players in Commander, so if your opponent has a creature, they can run it into one of your other opponent's creatures and just kill it, so that's not very good. But yeah, let's open this one up to discussion. What do y'all think about Reveal, and what do y'all think about Double Agent?
I think the interesting thing about Reveal in 1v1 is you really don't want to run it out early, because you don't want to have to block it. Right, like you don't want to block your 1/1 that you're going to turn to a 3/3 because you're going to kill it. So blocking it kind of defeats the purpose. You really need to kind of do it late game when you can.
So that's as I finish synthesizing this card. Reveal is very interesting. It's like Mean Morph. This card specifically, basically reads. It's like a Ravenous Chupacabra. Right, in a perfect sense, because ideally it's a removal spell, and ideally you activate it on the same turn, because otherwise your removal spell is kind of sitting on the battlefield, right? So your opponent's very aware of it, which is, sometimes if they're helpless, that's great, but how often is your opponent really helpless? So it's kind of like a 3 mana 3/3 that destroys a target creature planeswalker, which is good. I mean, Ravenous Chupacabra saw play in Standard, and also see some in Commander. And I know it's not as good as Commander, but if it's not really so much a 1/1 in my eyes, like a 1-drop, as much as it is a turn 3 removal spell.
Yeah, I agree.
Before we wrap up with this card, I'll point out that Anawan probably, auto-include an Anawan in Commander, and Amanatu, I think it could do some work as well.
Amanatu is my first thought.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I know an Amanatu deck that this would be gross in.
Yeah, so in Commander, probably you want to play this if you can instantly blink it or reveal it. Otherwise, maybe it's not the card for you. Yeah, let's move on. Wizards did release like 19 cards today, so we have a lot to talk about. We're going to go over most of these commons and uncommons first, just breeze past them. We got some like more spicier stuff at the end, but I did want to throw up one of the Mythic rares here, just so you at home don't get too bored with our video here. But let's jump into it. In the top left of the screen, we're going to see Eye of the Sun here. This is one of our Mythic rares, kind of a cool design. Let's get into it. Eye of the Sun, it's a legendary creature. It's an elemental avatar, Mythic rare. It costs 3 white. So 4 white mana pips and then 3 generic. You're probably in mono white if you're playing this, or 2 colors. Or Reanimator, as we'll see. So this is a 7 mana 8/8 with flying, and it says, whenever another non-token creature or enchantment becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, exile target non-land permanent you don't control. So this is really interesting to me. There's a lot of things to talk about here. One, they do specify creature or enchantment. Now, before this set, I think there are only 3 enchantments ever that could be tapped, and they were all from Future Sight, I believe. But as we see right next to Eye of the Sun, Righteous Growth, it looks like there are enchantments that now tap in this set, so maybe that's something they're playing around with. But yeah, Eye of the Sun, my first thought is, if you're in Selesnya and you're playing a bunch of mana dorks, this makes mana dorks insanely good, right? Because they're just O-rings now, and they're not even O-rings because your opponents don't get that permanent back. It's just exiled. So you tap a mana dork for mana and you exile a thing, a non-land thing. That seems really good. It is 7 mana, which is a lot, and it's heavily pipped into white, which is of course also a lot. But if you're playing a bunch of mana dorks, you can probably hit that 7 mana turn 5. So this seems like it could potentially be really good.
I don't think there's a world where this isn't just a reanimator target, right? This is like a splashy mythic for commander players.
I was gonna walk through my thought process with this. When I first saw this, I was like, "Oh, this is broken." White. Everyone memes on it, but is this the way to fix it? And then I kind of hard pivoted and was like, "Oh, this is like trash because of all the mana pips and everything." And then I kind of landed on like fringe playable, definitely strong card, great reanimator target, like Archon of Cruelty. I know that was kind of slept on when it was first spoiled, but this is like stronger in some ways. It doesn't have an ETB, but if you get to tap things with this on the board, I mean, you've won, right? Like, definitely in modern.
I mean, I'm just thinking with something with Freed from the Real and just like do some stupid shenanigans like Infinite Exile.
Yeah, it's got a prohibitive... Oh yeah, that's a great point. There's combos you can just exile everything. It's got a crazy mana cost, but damn. Like, you can go off
So are we thinking this is basically a combo piece that you're going to try and cheat into play, or are we thinking that you could play this quote-unquote fair, right?
Oh, I don't think you can in standard. You can't play this fair. No, absolutely not. There's no dorks that produce white reliably, right? Like Gilded Goose is gone.
I think if there's a world where you're playing this fairly, you need it to resolve. You know, like you're in a bad spot if it's turn 7 or turn 5 or whatever, and this is what you're ramping to. You know what I mean? Like.
No, I think that's a good point. If we take the conversation, outside of standard, I mean. Is there any? I don't play a ton of modern. Is there any modern deck that plays a bunch of mana dorks and also reanimates stuff? Because it seems like those are different decks, right? I mean, obviously mana dorks are going to help you cast this, but it's 7 mana, so.
I'm thinking now it could go in some kind of Abzan reanimator shell. Just because you're gonna green, you have the dorks. Like you have noble hierarchs and stuff that can tap for white.
I think the issue with speculating that, though, is that it doesn't currently exist, right? And
you'd have to build a deck around it, and is it worth building a deck around?
But that's
I just don't think it is.
Modern. And it's like, whenever I see a new card, I'm like, oh, there's probably... And I'm like, this is broken. I have to read it a few times, because I'm like, there's a reason people aren't playing this. You know what I mean? Like, and so, maybe there's a reason there's not a Abzan Reanimator deck right now. And maybe it's missing Eye of the Sun. It's hard to say. But it is a juicy target.
We have this next card here, which I think could be a commander staple, certainly a mono white, and that is Righteous Growth. This is a 2-mana enchantment, white, for a single line of text that reads, tap, add white. So obviously a good card for Eye of the Sun. But, I mean, it's a 2-mana mana rock that, only generates white mana, but... I don't think white has anything like this, and I don't think any color has anything like this that's an enchantment. Obviously, we have two mana rocks that are artifacts, but if you're playing Enchantress or something, this could be super cool. But what do y'all think?
I think this goes in any mono white deck. Once you leave mono white, though, I don't know if it makes the cut unless it's an Enchantress deck.
You think that second white pip is really holding it back?
I just think your options are better once you find another color, unless it's like blue, right, or maybe black. But like, I don't know. I feel like once you leave mono white, it becomes a little less useful. I mean, you can pick up signets at that point, and I'd probably rather just run a signet.
I'll say that I think outside, if you're in green, like, you don't want to play this. Outside of that, I think that any mono white deck, a staple, any Enchantress deck, borderline stable. I'm sure higher power levels don't need it. And then, Boros, I think it'd be great.
Absolutely.
Azorius, I think it'd be great. You know what I mean? It's got 2 white pips, but, I mean, if you're building your deck right, that shouldn't wreck you, And, also, as far as I know, it can tap when it comes in. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's intriguing.
I mean, it's if I understand correctly, that can tap right when it comes in. So you're really paying, I know it doesn't really work this way, but you're paying a white to get a mana rock. Not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm viewing it. Yeah, I need to think of it like an artifact and not like a creature because it doesn't have summoning sickness. You're right. That's interesting.
I do think it's funny that when I first saw this, I was like, yes, this is like a great white ramp spell. But then, thinking about it critically, I'm like, it's still worse than, anything green can do. So the meme continues, and I really thought it was solved for a second.
But I will say, not as good as green is still better than most other colors, though.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is trounced by rampant growth, right? Like, it's nothing compared to, like, rampant growth.
I'd even rather play, Paradise Druid than this.
Or Ornithopter of Paradise.
Yeah, I mean, it dodges wipes, but... Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, it's funny that even white's fixes need to be fixed. Like, if this was one white, tap to add any color, you're like, that's great. But,
right.
Yeah, as it is, it's just, it seems so prohibitive that, like whoever designed this was scared to give white something to...
Yeah, whoever designed this.
I wonder if the thing we ran into here is what happens every time Wizards tries to fix white, where they make a card that's good for white, and then they kind of release it, and they're like, oh wait, that's still pretty bad by other color standards. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a hole they've dug themselves. But I wouldn't be mad about this.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Now that
I
you say
agree.
that, I'm imagining the story of a new designer who gets into Wizards and like, I'm gonna fix white, and then they just become the problem.
Yeah, and I can imagine people being unjustly mad about this. I will also just say that I think that white isn't as it's definitely got its problems, but I don't think it's as unplayable as people see, and I think this would be a great addition.
All right. Next up, we have Isaurian Matriarch. This is 3 green for an insect giant. Fun creature types there. It's an uncommon. You get, for 5 mana, you get a 4/5 with reach. Whenever a permanent you control becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, you may pay 1 generic. If you do, create a 1/1 black insect creature token. Nothing really to write home about other than we are seeing this line of text come up if it isn't being... when something becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker. So, it looks like maybe a draft archetype, and, if nothing else, maybe mana dorks will get better based on this set, which... That's kind of cool.
I'm imagining a funny situation where you have like 3 Llanowar elves. They can tap and pay for this cost themselves, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a really shitty, makes a token for every creature you control. I mean, I'm sure there are decks this is good in, and that's just what instantly came to mind. But I don't think this is.
I like this card, but also that's because this is why I don't play Standard anymore. I always get stuck with nothing in my hand and nothing to do. So it gives me something to do with all of my mana dorks when I have nothing to cast. But that's probably just user error.
It screams like 101st card to me in Commander. Like, it seems like something that when you're building the deck, you want to throw it in, and then later when inevitably you have to make 14 cuts because you're indecisive, it gets lost in that.
Yeah, the only deck I can see this maybe going is like a Slimefoot Peasant deck where you can only have commons and uncommons, and you're just grasping for token cards.
There's that like sacrifice Golgari Insect Commander that could probably use this.
That would be good in Blex, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be good in Blex.
Oh,
That's about it, though.
Hold on, what's her name? I guess it's not that important.
Isn't it Blex the pest that gives insects and squirrels, and not squirrels, but other things like +1/+1, like all spiders?
Mazurek. Mazurek.
Oh, the Crawl Death Priest?
Yeah, the Krull Death Priest. Yeah.
Okay. Too many Golgari commanders to name.
Not enough.
I think 101st card is the perfect designation for Isaurian Matriarch. Let's go ahead and jump from 101st card to what looks like 115th card, Druid of the 5th Slum. This is 1 and a green for a Goblin Druid. It's a 2/2. It's also uncommon. Druid of the 5th Slum reads, whenever an enchantment you control becomes tapped, draw a card. It's good with Righteous Growth.
Maybe, hear me out. You have a deck where all your creatures are enchantment creatures, and it's like an aggro deck.
Oh.
That's all I got.
This actually is pretty good in enchantment creature aggro.
Is Theros still in? I don't even know. I'm
It's
so
not.
behind on
No.
standard. It's not? Okay, never mind. This is bad in standard.
I mean, it's probably good in draft, right? Like, it's probably that's what it's for, and it's if for some reason this tapped archetype becomes like an adventure archetype, it's like the prosperous innkeeper of that archetype. But yeah, I mean, outside of specific cases, it's not going to see.
No, I mean, I think
Which is-
Ian cracked it. I think the best thing you can do with this card is play a bunch of enchantment creatures and draw some cards. I think that's basically the long and short of it. It could be a fun kitchen
Not a
table
good
deck.
spot to be.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on to a card that probably won't see playing Commander unless you're really hurting. This could be good in draft. I think this is definitely meant for draft, and it's probably very good there. This is Flickering Angel Geist, 2 and a white. It's an angel spirit. It's a 2/2 with flying and lifelink. Cool creature types, by the way. When it enters the battlefield, you create a shard token. We've only seen these once before in Kaldheim. They're tokens, they're enchantment tokens with tap 2 and sacrifice this enchantment to scry 1 and draw a card. So that's cool. It's good with the other enchantment themes going on. And then you can also pay 5 white to exile this and then return it to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. So you basically get, another shard token. This seems fine in limited. I don't see a huge reason to talk about this unless you guys have something crazy to do with this card.
This is the kind of card that makes me cry when it comes across me in limited. Because if, like a 2/2 fly with lifelink for 3, like game over. I don't know about y'all, but that's damn near unbeatable. Unironically, I'm also bad at limited.
Good. I think this is a good card. I think this is a really good card, actually.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, I will say here, like, I don't know how far into the video, that most of my things will be from a Commander lens. But it's not the best at what it does, but if blinking it, repeatable shards, that's pretty good. Flying lifelink, 2 relevant creature types. I don't know, like, I could put this in my rune deck and I wouldn't feel sad about it. I'm sure it is, more niche cases is where it will be used, but I think this is good.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say that, you could play it in, like, what's that? Oh, man. Crimson Vow, the Millicent, I think, the angel, the spirit commander, Millicent. You can play it there.
And if spirits were more of a thing in standard, I'd say there, but from the looks of it, that's not working out. There are enchantresses that whenever an enchantment enters, sorry to kind of lengthen what you thought would be a quick gloss over, but I think this card's pretty good.
All right. Well, if any of y'all want some decent commons, pick up a Flickering Angel, guys. Let's move on. This is a card I'm confident we won't talk about too long. This is Pennywage Healer. 2 and a white, same mana cost as Flickering Angel, guys. This gets you a human peasant, a 1/3 human peasant. Love the creature type of peasant. That's always fun to see. This is a 1/3 with lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield or becomes tapped and isn't being declared as an attacker, you gain 2 life. So Pennywage Healer is there to keep you from dying in limited, I think. Any other hot takes?
While he's waiting for the train to pass, I think this is going to make some waves in Legacy. No.
Yeah, dude, this blocks Ragavan all day long.
It kills Ragavan.
It does.
Yeah, you better hope they have a turn 3 or 4 Ragavan.
Okay, so picture you have unlimited mana. You have freed from the real. You now have unlimited life. That's all I'm saying.
There's got to be better ways to do that, though.
I don't disagree. That's all I got, though.
If you're building a $5 commander deck, you can go infinite with it.
And there's also probably better things to do for a $5.
Yeah. We're gonna move on. We have some spicy uncommons in this spread here, and we're gonna start with maybe the spiciest. This is Purify the Aether. 2 white for an instant. Someone at Wizards is trying to do some new stuff with white, and I commend them for that. 2 white for an instant. Purify the Aether. This card reads: exile target spell or creature. You gain life equal to its mana value. This is a hard counter in white, which we've seen very few of. Some counters will put cards on the top of your opponent's library or something. I think there's one card in white that does that. But this card even gets around can't be countered, because you're not countering the spell, you are just exiling it. And of course, it can also be removal too. Commander state. I mean, nobody likes 3-mana counters. You probably don't love a 4-mana counter, but a 4-mana counter that's just also the hardest of removal seems decent, and you gain a little bit of life.
Do you guys remember when Theros Beyond Death was leaked because someone, I'm putting quotes around this, found some booster packs in a Walgreens?
How can I forget?
And one of the cards that was leaked was Ashiok's Eraser, which also could exile a spell on the stack. And I remember, like, my roommate, Steven, being very, very... I probably shouldn't have said his name. My roommate was very, very high on that effect, and so was the internet, and it was a non-factor. I do think this is a little different because it's in white, and I think, even though I hate counter magic, white should have more counter magic. And I can imagine myself playing this in a mono-white commander deck. I can imagine this doing really well in draft. The issue is you got to leave up 4 mana. Not what anyone really wants to do. But it also doubles as creature removal, so it's not the worst thing if you're not countering. I think it's okay. I think it's, again, not going to work the game, but I think it's okay.
This looks like the set's take. There's always like a 4-mana destroy exile creature. Like there's always like kind of the every set's 4 to 5 mana removal that's like kind of a premium and limited, and this is probably it. I do like that it's a counterspell. I think I love the direction of like more counters in white. White could be this cool mix of green and blue where it gets like some counters, has some ramp, whatever, but it's also an aggro color. Just mix the 2 best colors in Magic and make it white, I guess. But I think this is a cool card. I'd play it in more than just mono white if it's like white heavy enough in white.
I'm playing this in Selesnya, and I'm playing this in Orzhov. I think for sure.
Yeah, non-blue.
You're playing this in
white
Orzhov?
commander decks. I think this is worth running a copy just for the counterspell, where you can't normally interact with things on the stack. Like in black and green, I think it's probably worth a slot.
I'm saying I'm absolutely going to play this in Orzhov. I would play this in Boros, of course. I would play this in anything that doesn't have blue and is 2 colors and one of them's white. I think.
I don't know about that.
Do you think it's just going to rot in your hand?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, like, in black there's ways to answer it when it resolves. You don't need to... I guess, like, in very niche cases, countering is, like, the only way out of a situation. But I generally don't put in a card in a deck that is only usable in very, very niche cases, if that makes sense.
I guess that's a good point. I mean, okay, let's talk it through. So, white obviously has creature removal on lock. You can play better creature removal than this at 1 mana.
Yes.
So you don't really want to play it at 4 for that. So when would you use this? You would use this to interrupt a combo, right, that your opponent's doing, which white otherwise could not do. Well, actually, I say that, but if it's like an artifact-based combo or enchantment-based combo, you just disenchant it. But the flexibility maybe is so high that you want this. Okay, Will, you've talked me out of it a little bit. I still think it's good.
But there are even other ways to disrupt a combo, right? Like, what is it? Silence? Or I could be misnaming the card, but... And that is another
silence.
card I wouldn't even put in a deck. And I hate combos as much as the next guy. I hate someone comboing off out of nowhere, and I don't play it. So... I mono white, I think it's a staple, but I don't know.
You know what this is? This is kind of white's Drown the Lock, right? It's removal and it's a counterspell, and it's kind of situational, except it costs 4 mana instead of 2.
So classic white is just worse. But I think I view this as like, I don't know, I've been watching a lot of CDH content recently, where silence is played all the time. I think you use this to protect your combo. Like you're playing something you need to resolve, you can counter a counter with it. I don't know. I think it's probably a little niche, but it's flexible, which is why it's expensive, but it's also why it's kind of nice. I don't know. I don't hate it. I think it's an auto-include in white probably, just because you can interact in the stack.
I know we gotta move quicker, but is this not too much mana for CEDH?
Oh, this is unplayable in CDH, yeah. No, I'm thinking more... just protecting yourself in casual.
Yeah. Guys, let us know in the comments below. Is this a good card or a bad card? If nothing else, I think it's an interesting card. I'm glad it exists. But yeah, let us know. Let us know what you think. Are you running this? Are you not? Purify the Aether. Cool. Let's move on. Seal of Raylia Court. This is 2 and a white. People really seem to like that mana cost these days. 2 and a white for an enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchantment creature has defender and loses all other abilities, but you can also pay a white mana to exile enchanted creature, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So, kind of like Purify the Aether, this is a flexible piece of removal where you can either use it to shut down one of your opponent's creatures, or you can use it to reset one of your own ETBs at 4 mana, which is a lot. So this is okay. I think it's good for draft. I don't think anyone's going to play this in any other format. Guys?
Yeah, I got nothing on this one.
Awesome. Well, let's move on. This is Urban Hunter's Gear. This is 3 generic for an artifact, and it's a common. You can tap to add 1 generic. You can tap 3 generic and itself for attacking creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn. And then finally, you can tap it and sacrifice itself to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand and then discard a card. So, this is okay. I mean, you could sort of use it as a 3-mana regrowth effect, which is, I think, what regrowth already costs, except you can only hit creatures. But then you also discard a card, so you go down a card. I am willing to bet this is not very good.
Yeah, I think this is bad.
It's a very strange 3-mana rock.
It is,
and
isn't it?
For that is cool, and Strange is good, and I don't know. I don't even know if this is good in draft, but it's in a lot of ways a worse Heraldic banner.
Yeah.
But
when you look at all its abilities, it's a 3-mana rock for an aggro deck that I can't really think of an aggro deck that really wants 3-mana rocks to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can do something with discarding like a Haymaker and reanimating it, but outside of draft, there's just got to be better ways to do it. I mean, it's cool. Whenever you see a card that has this many functions, it's neat for sure. And you got to think of like, I don't know, what's the mono white Teshar or something. Maybe Teshar can use this somehow.
I don't think Teshar wants this.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Teshar would rather play an Ornithopter and do the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
When your 3-mana
so
rock is worse than an Ornithopter, we can probably move on.
A lot of cards are worse than Ornithopter, to be fair.
Surprising, a shocking amount of cards are worse than Ornithopter.
Let's move on to a card that I think is better than Ornithopter. This is Unnatural Studies. Kind of a cool card name. And when we talk about it, I think it's a reference. 1 generic and black, so 3 mana pips for an uncommon sorcery. Exile target card from a graveyard. You lose 1 life. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So this seems pretty good. This seems like a black regrowth effect that can hit your opponent's graveyards, and you get the card, and no one can make you discard it. So it's graveyard hate, and it also lets you draw a card from any graveyard, regardless of the color, and play it, even if it's a land. This seems really good.
Yeah, I'm high on this. I think that like in a Prosper commander deck slots in really well. It's it's like a worse. Remind me, Modern Horizons 2. What is that creature?
Douthy Voidwalker?
Yeah, it's like a worse Douthy Voidwalker, but that's still a fun effect. And you're right, it is like a regrowth. You can do it with your own thing. You can do it with your opponent's thing. I think this is great. I don't have much to say about it other than that, but
the one thing I want to bring up, should this be rare, or do we think it's an uncommon?
I'm just asking. Should this have been rare? No.
If it was white, it'd be rare. It might even be mythic if it's white.
True.
But no, I think it's commander kind of fun. But
yeah, this is the kind of uncommon that costs like 75 cents. You know what I mean? Like it stands out from the back.
I want it to be 2 mana, not 3 mana. If it was 2 mana, I think this is much more playable. For some reason,
or instant,
right? It's that extra black pip. I don't know. It's a cool card. I like it. I'll probably play it. I'm gonna play it in Keurig, for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have a tuned Prosper, like tuned for like a 7 out of 10. And I would consider putting this in my Prosper deck because it, you kill your opponent's Haymaker, no, you're the bad guy. You know what I mean? That's fun.
Yeah.
Fun stuff to do.
Yeah, very true. I mean, it doesn't kill it. It's only from the graveyard, but...
Right. It's so I get Ian to answer your threat, and then I bring him back.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, there's some political shenanigans you can do.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay.
Now I'm the baddie.
Yeah, Unnatural Studies. I think this one's kind of cool. Let's move on. We have Seal of the Vex. This is 2 blue and a black for an enchantment aura. It's a common. Enchanted creature is menace, and whenever this creature deals damage to a player, you may return target creature to its owner's hand. There's a 1 mana blue enchantment that does this, which I only know that because I was looking for cards to play with Togo and throwing rocks. So there's a 1 mana blue enchantment that lets you bounce a creature whenever the creature it's enchanting deals damage to a player. This seems like that, but worse. I mean, it's 4 mana. Menace, I guess, is okay, but I don't think this is seeing play anywhere other than draft. Guys?
I mean, you could put this in Yuriko, but...
You could!
Other than that,
You certainly could, couldn't you?
The problem with Yuriko, though, you want to bounce your own creatures, and this is an aura. So if you bounce the creature it's on, it dies?
that's true, but if you put it on, like, a something that's not getting blocked, you get Yuriko every turn, I guess. I don't know. Because, yeah, she comes in when she's attacking, right? So she's already done her deal by combat. It's definitely... I wouldn't do it, but it's an option.
I don't want to say it's like stone unplayable because someone will do me dirty with it at some point. Like, so I just don't think it's good.
I think if you want this for any reason, it's for it's to cheat on the dealing damage to a player, right? You're probably not looking to deal combat damage. You're probably looking to deal damage some other way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
for
true.
sure.
My brain's a little too smooth to think of ways that would be neat.
But it's still 4 mana, and again, there's an effect that does this in blue for 1. So I don't know. It's cute, but yeah, we can move on. This is a card that I actually think could be a mistake. Let's get into it. This is Lightning Skulker. It costs a single red mana, is an uncommon elemental. For a single red mana, you get a 3/1 with haste, but before you start thinking that's crazy, it does have reveal. So remember, when you play this, it has reveal for 1 red mana. So when you play Lightning Skulker, it comes into play under an opponent's control, and then you have to pay an additional red mana to put it into play under your control. And then so it's a 1 red mana for a 3/1 with haste, and it also says when Lightning Skulker enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to you. So let's break this down, right? You play Lightning Skulker. Let's say I'm playing against Will. Turn 1, I play Lightning Skulker. I've just given Will a 3/1 with haste, but it dealt 3 damage to him, so I kind of lightning bolted him. But then he's going to get a free attack on me because it's turn 1. So I go down to 17 and my opponent's at 17. Next turn, I'm probably going to pay the reveal cost to put it back under my control, which means I lose another 3 life, which puts me at 14. And then if they didn't play any attack or any blockers, I can hit them with this. So this card kind of reads for 2 mana, you and your opponent start at 17 life. And that's kind of nuts. I mean, I guess Lightning Bolt exists, but this card seems kind of cool. For 1-on-1, I don't think this does anything Commander, but for 1-on-1, this card could be pretty potent. What do y'all think?
You just don't play it on turn 1, right?
I still play it. I play this turn 1. I'm betting when I play this card, I can outrace my opponent, so I play this turn 1. It's obviously better turn... Like, if you play it turn 2, you just get a 3/1 for haste with 2 mana that, you know... I mean, it pinged you for 3, which is a lot, but this seems like it could be good.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I mean, yeah, maybe this could go in like Modern Burn, maybe, but they're not really hurting for creatures. I don't know. I guess I'm missing what's broken about this.
A 2 mana 3/1 with haste that deals 3 to you and your opponent. Is that good or not? I think that's good. I don't know. Maybe I was getting too high on the fact that, like, it just lowers life totals so much that if your opponent can't play a blocker and you're in, like, burn or something that you're just trying to kill them, I think they just die. And even if they play a blocker, you know, if you reveal this turn 2, you have 1 more presumably red mana open. You can probably shock their blocker or bolt it or whatever. I don't know. This card seems to represent a lot of damage, and how much damage is kind of hard to pinpoint, but it seems like it could do a lot, right?
I think this is. I'd rather just lightning bolt someone than play this.
That's true. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't play a lot of modern, so maybe you could cut like a rift bolt for this, and maybe it'd be net positive. I don't know.
My thought is, there's so much competition at the 1 mana, like 1 red pip creature slot, right? There's Goblin Guide. I don't think this beats out Goblin Guide. There's Monastery of Swiftspear. I don't think this beats out Monastery of Swiftspear. There's Soulscar Mage. I think is also 1 red mana.
This might be.
And then there's Ragavan. Like I don't know. This doesn't beat out any of the other red 1-drops. Oh, and there's also Dragon Rage Channel.
Oh
right?
my god, you're right. Okay, looking at it in that. Okay, maybe this doesn't see play. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
I mean, like people do. I've seen people in matches play rift bolts, and this is better than rift bolt, I guess. No,
I don't know. Rift Bolt can hit. Rift Bolt can hit any target, which I think is flexible.
That's true. I wasn't thinking about that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I think I figured it out. I think you can put this in your sideboard, and if your opponent doesn't play creatures, I think you're just going to murder them with this. But I guess if your opponent's not playing creatures, and this is the type of deck this goes into, you're going to murder them anyway. So maybe it's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Guys, okay.
It might be win more.
Commenters, let us know in the comments below if you're going to play Lightning Skulker. I will say it's a super cool card. I just love everything about it. But yeah, maybe it doesn't see play. Okay, we can move on. Let us know in the comments below, guys. Lightning Skulker. Please, I'm curious.
Lightning Skulker.
Let's move on. This is the last, I'm fairly certain this is the last group of cards Wizards is going to show us today. And we have some good stuff here. We have some very spicy stuff here. So let's just jump right in. First card we're going to talk about is Bastard of the Pit. Love that name. Definitely a throwback to, what is it, Demon of the Pit?
Yeah.
Whatever that like old school Magic card is. So this is 4 and a red-black. So 6 mana total for a legendary creature. It's a Demon Berserker. It's a 6/6 with flying and trample. We love our flamples. Whenever you lose life during your turn, each opponent loses twice that much life. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life. So this seems insane. I mean, I'm fairly certain there's, like, if you have this and you have Toxic Deluge, I think you just win the game, right? Anything that lets you pay infinite life, or any amount of life that you choose, you just win.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think that, like, the only issue with this, and which I think is a great, really, really strong card, the only issue of this card is that, like, you kind of have to have more than 6 mana, because people are going to kill it before you get around the table if they have a removal spell.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a kill on Site Commander, so you kind of have to have, like, 9 mana when you cast it, but if you do, without interaction, of course, but, like, you can win.
Are there...
It's really strong.
Are there enchantments that just let you pay life to do a thing? I'm sure there are, but...
Yeah.
Necropotence? Did someone say Necropotence?
There's spells at the end of your upkeep, or not your upkeep, but your end step, where you can pay to draw, you know what I mean? Like...
Oh, this with Ad Nauseam?
Yeah, there's just tons of...
yeah, with Ad Nauseam, you just win the game, right? I mean, assuming your opponent doesn't... Neither of your opponents have twice the life you do. I think you just win.
And I guess, like, Teferi's protection at the end, I don't know, like, but it seems really strong. It seems like definitely I'm going to look back over it, but the strongest card we've seen for Commander of them all.
Do you think they went too far?
No.
It's push. It's not that bad. It is push, though.
I think what Will said is true, that you kind of want more than 6 mana when you're playing this, when you're casting it. But yeah, I agree. If you have more than 6 mana, or if you get to untap with this and it's your commander, I don't think you lose.
Yeah, and I think that if you untap with this and your deck's built even almost correctly, you're gonna win. There might be ways in like other formats that I'm not super familiar with, so sorry if that makes people angry for me to speculate that this could be like maybe even ban worthy. I know that like what Grizzlebrand got banned, and this is like, I don't know, even more of a direct win if you lose life. So I don't know.
I mean, this doesn't do anything when you enter the battlefield, right? Because Grizzlebrand, I think you could just instantly draw 7 cards.
Yeah, you pay 7 life, draw 7.
Yeah, but you're on like a broken chain,
speed.
right? You're like neoforming all this stuff. Like I don't know. If you're doing
Yeah.
that, you're on like a broken chain. You're doing Neoform shenanigans. Like, I think there's a way you could win with this in Modern as early as turn 0, maybe even. But I don't. I'm not an expert. It's very.
I mean, like, if nothing else, like in Modern, there are fetch lands for days, and this turns each of your fetch lands into like, I mean, it hits them for 4, right? If you pay 2 to fetch, or how much does a fetch land? No, a shock land
1.
is 2.
It's 1
If you
to fetch,
shock,
2 to
if you,
shock.
if you play a shock land, you're hitting them for 4. Each opponent for 4. That's crazy.
Yeah, I will put the caveat that while this is broken in Commander, and is probably really oppressive to play against unfairly, I really don't think this is a card you're going to play fairly.
Oh, absolutely not.
And make much of a splash.
My favorite part about this card is whatever edgelord at Wizards. First we got Just Damn as a card name, and now we've got Bastard of the Pit. So I'm loving this direction, this edgy direction that Wizards is taking Magic.
Yeah, their next chase Mythic is just gonna be called "Fuck You."
I know this video is going longer than we thought, but Prosper is already the most popular Rakdos commander by like almost double, according to EDHREC. Do you think this would beat Prosper?
Oh no,
just being like an I win card.
There's no card draw attached to this. That's why Prosper's popular.
Yeah, but winning you don't need to draw any cards if you win. You know.
Yeah, but Will, this I think here's I think why Prosper is so beloved is because win or lose, it sets you up to have a good game. It puts cards in your hand or cards you can play, and it gives you mana you can spend. And for 3 mana, so it comes down early and it starts accruing advantage early. This doesn't have that appeal, right? You have to work more for this, and you kind of have to set stuff up. So I'm willing to bet Prosper is safe.
This is like spiky Prosper.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Prosper I think is already pretty competitive, but yeah. Well, yeah, I like this card. I'm not a huge Rakdos player, but, you know, I like this card. I agree with you guys. I think it's powerful. Yeah, we can move on unless you guys have anything else.
I'm good.
All right. Let's look at our first Planeswalker of the set. This is Zeka? Zeka? Xekka. I think it's pronounced Zeka. Void Scion. For 2 black, legendary Planeswalker, Zeka. It's a mythic, of course. It's got a piece of static text, which we know on Planeswalkers is a little dangerous. Whenever a card you own is exiled, put a loyalty counter on Zeka Void Scion. It's got 2 abilities. It has a 0 ability for 0 loyalty. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and one into exile. You lose life equal to the exile card's mana value. So this is a 0-cost loyalty ability, but because of Zeka's static line, whenever a card is exiled, put a loyalty counter on it. This is really a +1.
It's like the Garrick from Eldraine.
The Eldraine Garrick, yeah. And then we have its negative ability is -X. And this is kind of cool. I think it's good for 1-on-1. Untap and gain control of target creature with mana value X. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the end of the next combat phase. So that's an interesting line of text. I mean, 1, you're gaining control of a creature in mono black, which I don't know if we've seen before. Maybe we have. It's typically a blue ability or a red ability.
Someone definitely got me with that on Arena today. There is a black card that does it.
Is there?
Yeah, there is. It might be an alchemy card. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
I didn't appreciate.
I didn't know that existed. If you guys know the name of that card, put it in the comments below. But this last ability, I think, is pretty good. Not in Commander. I mean, all Planeswalkers are kind of suspect in Commander. This one doubly so. But untap and gain control of target creature with mana value X. So it comes in with 4 loyalties, so you can steal a 4 loyalty and under. If you want Zeka to survive, you're stealing a 4 mana value or under. If you want Zeka to survive, you're going to take a 3 mana value or under. That creature gains haste, and then you sacrifice at the end of the next combat phase. So if you steal a creature in your second main, you get it until the end of your opponent's combat, so it can block for you. And then, of course, if you steal it in your first main, you can just hit them with it, and then it dies. So that's cool. I mean, and talking about Prosper, obviously this card is good for Prosper because you're exiling a bunch of cards. Is this too fragile for Commander? I think it's great in Modern. I mean, if your opponent has one creature, or even in some cases 2 creatures, I think you just beat them. So I think this card is really good in Modern. I think it's very good for Standard. There's a bunch of creatures in Standard right now that have low mana value that can grow really well. Thinking about like a Luminarch Aspirant or a Trail of Sara. So there's a bunch of huge creatures you could steal for small amounts of loyalty with this. But yeah, I really like this card. Do you guys think it'll see play anywhere in Commander?
I think this card's pretty bad. Like, like I look at this and I see 4 mana removal spell, and that's kind of where I stop. Like, I'm like, okay, never mind, no longer interested.
But it's a 4 mana 2-for-1, right? Because they have to attack into it to kill it, and if you stole their best creature, assuming you could, then they're screwed.
It's
right?
I mean, how's that? I don't. So let's say you steal a creature that's like 3 CM mana value. My bad, 3 mana value. You, and it dies, and then they kill it. And it's like a 1v. It's a 1-for-1 for 4 mana, right? I don't know. Maybe there's something you can do with it. I just don't see it right now.
It seems like a fun design space.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think in Commander specifically it's super good. Maybe in other formats, but it seems fun. Like, and it again works well with Prosper. So yeah, it's not the worst.
True. Okay, well, maybe we don't have a ton to talk about here. We can move on to Gorelicker. Fun name. Gorelicker is a black and 2 red mana, so 3 mana total. 3 mana gets you a 3/3 Nightmare Beast. Get an Ikoria flashbacks. And we will continue to get Ikoria flashbacks because whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 life. If you do, put your choice of counter on it from among Haste, Menace, or Death Touch. So you play a creature, you make some tokens, and whenever they enter the battlefield, you pay a life, and then you upgrade that token or creature. I think people will probably play this to give big things haste, but I like the flexibility of it. I think the counters are going to be a headache to keep track of because you have 3 different types of counters, but it's kind of a cool design.
Oh, I misread this. I thought you put. I guess you can't. I was thinking you put the counter on Gorelicker, but no, you put on the creature that enters the battlefield.
Whenever a creature... Yes, the creature that enters the battlefield. You can do it. It triggers off itself, though, because it's a creature, so it triggers off itself.
Does it, though? Because wouldn't it already have to be on the battlefield for the ability to trigger?
No, I think other...
Otherwise, it'd be when this creature or another creature enters the battlefield, right?
I'm fairly certain this triggers itself. We can look it up, because normally it would say whenever another creature enters the battlefield, if it didn't trigger itself.
God, this game's so stupid
Now,
sometimes.
I don't think it's on the battlefield when it enters. Maybe I'm wrong, though.
Maybe you're right. I truly do not know now. Guys, let us know in the comments below. Does this thing trigger itself? Who knows? That aside, I kind of like this card. I mean, I don't think it's fantastic, but I think if you're trying to do sneaky things with big creatures, I think you play this.
It's better than I thought it was originally.
I'm thinking a Jund Trample deck. Give them all Death Touch, do the old Death Touch Trample deck. That'd be very fun. Yeah, I don't know how competitive it is, but it seems very fun.
I mean, it's a way to give haste and red-black. I mean, red can give haste all the time. I don't know. I think it's a neat way to give haste. I think that's what you're... In my head, that's what I'm using this for, is to give haste to every creature that I play.
Yeah, if you have to go super defensive, you can give them Death Touch. But if you need to go defensive, paying 1 life isn't the best. But yeah, kind of a cool card.
And can we talk about the name for a second?
Yeah.
I'd rather actually not talk about the name. It's like, it kind of makes my skin crawl.
Freak.
We've been kind of ignoring flavor text. We could talk about the flavor text. It's kind of cute. The flavor text for those at home says, drag comedians will release them into Vex districts as part of their act.
I just don't like that it's one word either, just Gorelicker. Like, there's so many issues here.
You know, I kind of recoiled a bit when I heard you say it. I didn't like it either.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm going to play this card to fuck with y'all. is what I've discovered. Whether or not the card is good,
politics.
time will only tell.
Magic is a mind
Warwick or
game.
tribal.
We can move on. We have Desolation Seer next up. 1 and a blue for a rare, a human peasant wizard. A lot of peasants we're seeing. 2 mana, 3/3, but before you freak out, it does have reveal for 1 black. So really you're paying 5 mana for a 3/3. Yikes. Desolation Seer is unblockable and can't attack or block unless you control a swamp. So this gets around the problem of, if you play this in Commander, it just attacks straight into one of your opponent's creatures because they probably can't attack with it or block with it. So that's cool. And then it says, whenever you cast Desolation Seer, another spell with reveal, or pay a reveal cost, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them. They cost an additional 2 life to play. Okay. So the floor of this card is a 2 mana draw 2, but each of those cards you use, you pay 2 life. 2 mana draw 2s aren't bad. They're actually kind of good, but extra life tacked on isn't great. And then, okay, so when you cast another spell with reveal, or you pay this spell's reveal cost, you get to exile the top 2 cards of your library again. So for 2 mana, you get 2 cards, and then for 3 more mana, you get another 2 cards, if you're able to pay the reveal cost. So in total, you can pay 5 mana to get 4 cards. You have to pay 2 life for each one you want to use. This seems okay. I mean, if you have a bunch of other reveal cards, this might get better. If you're looking for a specific piece, this gets good because the piece gets exiled. But, of course, if Desolation Seer dies, then you don't get to play it.
So this to me seems like it could have been like a Dimir precon reveal commander, like face card. It's obviously not a legendary creature, so we'll have to settle for it being like supporting reveal in draft, which I think it does pretty well. I don't know how big of a deal reveal will be. If it's kind of sweeping the meta, then this card's good, right? But if not, then it's not. I think it's as simple as that.
I mean, you're getting 4 cards for 8 life, essentially, right?
Basically, 4
4
cards
Isn't
for
that
8
just-
life and 5 mana.
4 cards, 8 life. I mean, that puts Sylvan Library to shame, right? It's just an extra card for the same amount of life.
Yeah, but that's if someone doesn't Doomblade it. You know what I mean?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I think this card's very okay.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a neat commander.
Yes.
It would have been a cool commander. I think the best thing we can say about this card is I really wish they put this line of text that it can't attack or block unless its controller has something. That should have been on all reveal creatures. But maybe that would
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them. Maybe the good ones.
maybe that would defeat the purpose. I don't know.
Maybe not the unblockable part, but yeah.
Yeah, true. I mean, but for 5 mana, you get a 3/3 unblockable. That's not bad either. In a one-on-one format. Again, I don't think the C's play anywhere else. We can move on unless y'all got stuff.
I don't have anything.
All right. This is a card I really like, so let's get into it. This is Scaleborn Avenger. This is 4 and a green for a 6/6. It's a dragon warrior with trample and haste. And for anyone just listening, I do want to point out, this is kind of like the Avengers in Forgotten Realms dragons, where they're like dragonkin or dragonborn. They're not like winged dragons, so that's why it doesn't have flying. So a 6 mana 6/6 with trample and haste. It's a dragon warrior. It is rare. And then it has an ability, which is really cool. For 2 and a red, put a creature or enchantment card from your hand onto the battlefield. If it's a creature, it gains trample and haste until end of turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step unless its mana value is less than or equal to the amount of life you have lost this turn. So for 3 mana, you get to sneak attack a creature. And then if you lost life this turn, equal to its mana value or greater, you just get to keep it, a creature or enchantment. So it doesn't have the clause that says you can only do this on your turn. So this seems really good. It seems like in Commander or any format, you hold back. And then if you get hit for a bunch, you just get free stuff. And this card doesn't even tap. So if you have 6 mana and you took, let's say, 8 damage this turn, you can put out 2 things with mana value 8 or less. That seems busted. I mean, you have to lose the life. People aren't going to want to hit you with this, like if you have this out and mana up. But it's also a 6/6 with trample, so, they can't just sit back the entire game. This seems crazy.
Knowing Wizards, I'm surprised this doesn't cost 5 and is uncounterable. Whoever's designing green at Wizards needs to be fired. Like, this is this is absurd.
Well, it's Gruul, which if this is another card I wish read Legendary, and if it did, I would seriously consider replacing my paper Perforos deck with this. It's similar to Perforos. Of course, it's not indestructible and like has a way to get around the sacrifice. It's a neat card. I don't know how competitive it is outside of Commander, but I would put this in a Gruul Commander deck in a heartbeat. It seems awesome.
No, absolutely. I think in other formats, we have a bunch of 6 mana 6/6s with trample and haste. Think about like Vorinclex and stuff, which doesn't see a ton of play, right? So I agree. I don't think this sees a ton of play outside of Commander. Maybe I'm missing. It's not a bad reanimation target, right? With trample and haste. Let's talk about that ability, though. So if you're in Gruul and you have something like Mana Barbs out, this seems crazy, right? Mana Barbs hits all players, right?
Yeah.
So you can hit yourself for as much as you want, and you're cheating on mana. I guess you're not really cheating on mana because Mana Barbs makes you tap the lands. At that point, you could just cast the spell, but whatever. There's a lot you can do with this, it seems like.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it has a really high ceiling. It does seem like there'd be games that it doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's in those colors specifically. It's relatively hard to control how much damage is dealt to you, right? And it also kind of plays a mind games with your opponent. They're like, oh, is 3 damage safe to deal him? Because what if he's got a you know what I mean? But so that's kind of fun. But I don't know. I wish this was legendary too.
Yeah, this would be an awesome commander. You're right. You know what I was this thing can hit enchantments. You can put enchantments into play with this. I literally just thought about this. If you attack in with this, you can sneak attack in Colossification or something. That Ikoria card that makes something a 20/20.
Yeah.
So that's a fun thing
That's
you could
true.
do with this.
That is a really fun thing you can do with this.
Dude, on the attack step, so it's already tapped, yeah.
Exactly. On the attack step, so it avoids the tap trigger.
And if you don't care about it getting, you could do like Praetors, you could do Eldrazi. If it gets sacrificed, like whatever, like you're still cheating it. Like so it's pretty good.
If you're in Teamer, you can Omniscience for 2 mana or for 3 mana, and then cast your hand.
Yeah, that's very true. And even
I think
if that
it's-
gets sacrificed so well, like
I think it's really weird this thing can hit enchantments or can cheat enchantments into play. That seems weird for a red mana ability, but I kind of really like it.
yeah, it's cool. It seems like red just wanted to be put on the card.
Almost like it should have been a commander. Like how Toxel just had to have blue on it.
These bottom 3 creatures are all creatures with one of their ally colored abilities on them. So, we have a green creature with a red ability, a blue creature with a black ability. To the right, if we haven't talked about it, but it's a red creature with a black ability. So, yeah, maybe someone was trying to fill out a design cycle, Will.
Maybe. We can only speculate.
Of course, the green one is the best one.
As people who had no hand in designing this set, we can truly only speculate.
We can only speculate.
We have no idea, truly.
We have no idea.
Let's move on. Let's move on. I really like this next card. I think whoever designed this set must really love Prosper, because Prosper is getting a lot of gas. Let's talk about Alluring Songstress. I low-key think this is one of the better cards we've seen. This is 1 in a red for a human bard. It's a rare creature. It's a 2/1 with first strike. At the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library. And then you can tap a black mana and pay 1 life. And it says, until end of turn, you may play a card exiled with Alluring Songstress. So this is, there's a long history in Magic of trying to fix Dark Confident, that black creature that, on your upkeep, you reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand, and then you lose that much life equal to its mana value. This is maybe... I shouldn't say that. This might be the best fixed Dark Confidant we've seen. You get the card on your instep. You do have to pay an extra mana and a life to use that card, which is not great. But you lose less life. I don't know. This card seems pretty good. Importantly, it's 1 black mana and 1 life to play a card exiled with the Luring Songstress. So if you want to play 2 cards in a turn, you have to pay 2 black mana and 2 life. If I understand that trigger or that ability correctly.
Yeah, that is correct.
But this seems like a pretty decent piece of card advantage, especially considering it only cost you 2 mana, and a 2 power creature with first strike isn't bad. I mean, it's not doing anything crazy with that body and commander, but I mean, it does something. I really like this card. Obviously, great in Prosper, but I think this could see play in like Modern and stuff potentially. I mean, it comes down, it blocks a Ragavan, right? A Ragavan, it blocks. I mean, it trades with Athalia, which is cool.
Ragavan is what I thought of when I saw this card. I was like, oh, look, they're trying to put Ragavan into standard. Decided to fix it. And fixed Ragavan's still pretty good, right?
This isn't as good as Ragavan, right?
Oh, it's not. No, it's not. It doesn't make treasure. Like they're like, how can we power down Ragavan so we can put it in standard? Is kind of where my mind went with this. I mean, it seems good. It seems playable.
I like this card. For some reason, I want her to be a werewolf. I can't quite explain that.
I think it's the art, right?
Yeah, I guess. But
what about this art makes it a werewolf? It's clearly a human. It's just a, it's just a.
Well, that's part of the werewolf thing.
It's very unassuming.
Yeah, I can't explain why I feel like that.
It just looks like it could be in an. If Innistrad was less spooky, you could put this card in that set.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe
Aesthetically, it has that vibe. Just without the tricorn hats.
But yeah, I mean, it plays well with Prosper, as all exiled things do. Maybe that's not even worth mentioning at this point. It's a good card. It has the cost. It's definitely more fixed than Ragavan of having to play black to do this ability. In Ragavan, you can kind of use the treasures as any crutch, but not that you even need to pay the correct mana cost, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think that's a good card.
I mean, it's it clearly plays well with Bastard of the Pit, right? Anything that if you can leverage this losing life somehow, can you pay the ability more than once to just like funnel away your life?
Yeah.
Right?
You totally
yeah,
can.
even if
You
there's
have
no
that
cards exiled
black
with
mana.
it. Yeah. Okay. So that's. I mean, if you just want to sue yourself, then that's.
So if you need another way to win with infinite mana, and Bastard of the Pit, there you go.
I'm pretty sure just cards, any cards, win with Bastard of the Pit, right? Like I think the bar is low for winning with Bastard of the Pit.
I mean this doesn't seem even that good in Bastard of the Pit. It just seems like you want to all in win with that, but it's a good card. I like it.
I think you'll see play in a lot of Rakdos decks, and maybe some other ones. I mean, I really like it. I love the Bard subtype. I hope we see more Bards. D&D I think introduced that type, but it's fun to see. I enjoy that. Cool flavor text. Anything for a song. I like that.
Yeah, it is nice.
Do we have a favorite card revealed today?
It's gotta be Gore Liquor, right?
I think you said that just because you wanted to say Gore Liquor.
Who knows? The world may never know.
I like Scaleborn Adventure, of course, the best. I think. How about you?
I like Alluring Songstress. For some reason, I really like Purify the Aether. I think you did kind of talk me out of it being like a capital G good card, but I'm still gonna play that sucker.
I'm with you, Noah. I think just even if it's not the card itself, it's what Purify the Aether like represents, like where white is going, right? Like interacting on the stack. I think I really like that.
I'm like, you guys like the idea of it more than the card, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, Will, I do like the idea of Purify the Aether. I will admit that. Just straight up, yeah. I I think I'm really excited to play with Jekka in Standard. I don't know if it's better than other 4-mana Planeswalkers. I mean, Black has a lot of Planeswalkers right now that are really good. It's not better than Lolth. That's a 5-mana. I don't even know if it's better than Sorin. I think it might be better than Sorin. Well, Sorin gives you the body, the life-linking body you can keep, but this is better for card advantage. So I don't know. I feel like you play this or Sorin in Standard. I don't know which one's... Yeah, I'm really excited to play with Jekka. I think she's going to be pretty potent in one-on-one formats. But yeah. Well, that was our review today of the first day of spoilers for the Furnace Magic Standard set. Thank you all for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below, what card are you most excited to get your hands on? Do any of these cards look busted? Do you think Purify the Aether is playable? Is Eye of the Sun a good card? We still don't know. You tell us. You do our job for us, commenter. Please. I'm begging you.
For the love of God, please.
For the love of God, please. And yeah, please like and subscribe. Brush your teeth. Stay healthy.
Do your homework.
Do your homework.
Or don't.
Your mom's
we can't
watching.
stop you.
Yeah, we don't care, really.
It's inconsequential, truly.
That is us signing off. Don't forget to tune in. Wizards, I'm assuming, is spoiling this full set like they do every other set. So I'm sure tune in tomorrow. We're going to have more cards for you. Yeah, thank you, and have a great day, you son of a bitch.
Yeah,
Nope.
peace,
Thank you, and have a great day.
What a comfortable ending.
All right, and out.